Hey John, what YouTubers do you enjoy watching? Which channels inspire the type of content you create? Well, this is a video on my favorite YouTubers that you should binge their videos, or at least check them out. I have a few categories and we'll start with the OG YouTubers. I watched these YouTubers when I was very young and I respect them for paving the way for future generations of YouTubers. The very first one is MysteryGuitarMan. His video editing is insane. He's really great in music across many musical instruments and he adds some humor into it. He was one of the most subscribed back in 2010. He's no longer on YouTube, but he did create a movie, so that's kinda cool. Next up is Nigahiga. We got Asian representation for comedy. He knows how to put a twist onto trends. I love his commentary on them because he has solid arguments while staying comedic. He clearly puts a lot of effort into his videos. His original songs are creative while being funny still. It didn't really feel like fame changed him. He stayed authentic throughout these years. I just hope he enjoys his time on Twitch. Does anyone remember LAHWF? Andrew Hales had so many great pranks about him being awkward. I really enjoyed how awkward he gets, making the interactions really cringy. I like how his channel's name stands for Losing All Hope Was Freedom, which is a quote from the movie Fight Club. Also, his initials AH is inside. Also, it sounds like the word laugh. It's unfortunate that he doesn't really do them anymore and his content has gotten pretty stale now. But I'll check back every now and then. More importantly, does anyone know of J2 Studios? They always perform wholesome or harmless pranks. For example, reverse bargaining people, where they ask cashiers if they can pay way more than what the item is sold. Another one I enjoy is where they acted out scenes you would see in a sitcom. Basically, these dudes genuinely had awesome pranks, back when the pranks that were popular on YouTube had a bad rap. Oh yeah, they started the dance move that was popularized by the Backpack Kid or Fortnite. The next category of YouTubers are skit/commentary YouTubers. Either they started with skits but then moved on to commentary, or they do a mix of both. First is Gooden. I saw his vines here and there, such as the one on road work. I watched his YouTube videos back in 2017, right when his channel was blowing up. I then quit watching for a few years, then came back to his channel. He has more videos to watch and their quality has improved. So I'm grateful that I came back. He takes forever to upload, but it's pretty much banger videos. His comedic delivery is so weird. It's meant to sound like a bad comedian trying hard to make you laugh, but it's exactly because he tries to sound like that makes him funny. Add in his storytelling, killer intros and outros, and he's golden. His video topics are very interesting. Of course you have movies, you have buying weird ads, and then you have a video about him that seems to be joking about how trashy the D'Amelio reality show is, but it's actually talking about the repercussions of growing up famous. Also, I'm willing to watch him talk about sponsors because he actually makes them funny. I'll say it, he's my top 10 YouTubers of all time. Next is Gus Johnson. I know, he has this controversy with his ex-girlfriend and YouTuber Sabrina, which makes it hard for me to talk about him. But before this whole incident, you gotta admit he has some funny bangers. He really knows what oddly specific yet relatable situations to make a video about. He also knows how to end a video abruptly to make you laugh as you click on the end screen to binge his content. This technique is what I use in my own skits, and I learned that from him. I also love how he creates a skit. Once he gets an idea for a character, he will put on whatever props, ask someone to film him, and he would just riff whatever comes to mind for 30 minutes. After that, he cuts it down to the best lines and then makes the final video 1 minute long. I still need to script out every word I say in my skits. This dude radiates Vine energy despite starting on YouTube, and he knows how to go viral. To sum it up, he's extremely great at being funny. Okay, we are moving on to Ian Kung. Pretty much everything I said about Gus Johnson also applies to Ian Kung. The issue is that he uploads way less frequently. Oh well, at least his videos are on events that were trending during that period of time. I'm grateful for that Asian representation. He's not to be mistaken with ProZD. He started on Vine and now he's doing voice acting. I love his short skits. It initially was focused on RPG or anime tropes, then it just expanded to whatever he wanted. ProZD doesn't do any fancy things in his skits. He can put paper on his head and that shows he's a different character. It's amazing! What's also amazing is how he does a few series on his channel. Skit, podcast, board game review, food review, PO box letter openings, recite Peter Pan from memory. Is that good for the channel since the views are so erratic? I don't know. But he's the prime example of a YouTuber doing whatever he wants and not caring for the views at all. That's kind of neat. Next up is Nathan Z. He started on Vine. He started YouTube 11 years ago and he feels like an OG YouTuber despite not even being 30 years old. He's been a comedic genius with interesting takes since the very beginning. He just didn't have great editing, equipment, and enough life experience. It's interesting to sometimes hear his videos on more existential topics. He's still entertaining in them, but he's still insightful in what he says. It has never felt cheesy or cliche. Then you have him talking about the lost art of certain aspects of music. It's a classic. He might be the Frank Ocean of YouTube because he takes so long to post videos, but his takes are bangers. He can convince you that TikTok is better than Vine. It's cool to see his growth from a high school student to a man who graduated from college. He went through a transformation physically and spiritually, especially when he quit social media for a few months. I'm just trying to be the Asian Nathan Z at this point. His skits are also great, like the one on exams starting easy. A common thing you see from all these YouTubers is that you don't need to have fancy editing or equipment for skits. I love their homemade quality. You just need to be funny in your script and delivery. Nathan Z will be one of my top 10 YouTubers of all time. Here's the last YouTuber in this category. He's relatively new, but man carrying thing is pretty decent. I guess he has a more cynical sense of humor compared to others, but still great. He started this thing of using interview clips of celebrities in his skits to make it seem like what he said caused them to react like that. Let's see where this new guy goes. Okay, this category might come as a shock to you, or maybe not. This is the self-help category. That's right, I've been watching such channels for the past 4 years or so. I've no idea what you think of when I say that, but trust me that these channels aren't like that. For example, HealthyGamerGG. You might know him as a psychiatrist from Harvard that streams his interviews with famous streamers. He also puts out lectures or his answers to questions from his own subreddit. He's almost twice my age, but he speaks like a chill uncle. He knows how to teach something in a beginner-friendly way. I'm sure there are some videos that you would want to know the answer to. Some are very trivial, some are quite serious. It's also quite interesting how he gives very unexpected answers to common questions. So, put on one of his videos and go to sleep, because that's what I do almost every night. Hey, at least I learned something as I fall asleep. Next up is Matt D'Avella. Most people would know him for being a minimalist. I enjoyed his series of doing new habits for 30 days. Quit caffeine, quit sugar, track every minute of his life. He's great in storytelling and his cinematography is great. It's cool that Gooden enjoys his content. Another pretty solid YouTuber is Better Ideas. He has some solid points that might not be talked about enough in this space. He also has videos that have reverse psychology into it, like the video on how to quickly ruin the rest of your life. Basically, if you relate to this video, you realize your problems. The next category is the podcast category. Not that I enjoy watching podcasts that aren't educational. I prefer the podcasts of people having casual conversations. I prefer distressing over people with good chemistry bantering around. First up is the Chuckle Sandwich podcast. I've listened to them since last September and I still rewatch the old episodes till today. Ted Nivison, Jay Schlatt, and Slimesicle are comedic geniuses. They build on each other's jokes and it's really funny hearing their arguments on really trivial matters. I would recommend watching episodes before episode 4 because Slimesicle then left the podcast due to being really busy with other commitments. You have about 50 hours worth of content, which is a lot to binge. And you can rewatch them since you probably didn't catch 100% of their jokes the first time. Just try watching their clips for a sample of their sense of humor. Next is the Trash Taste podcast. Gant, Joey and Connor have great chemistry with each other. Though they are anime YouTubers individually, they come together to have a podcast talking about anything. From the struggles of a content creator to opinions on food to chatting with other YouTubers, this podcast is entertaining. Let's also remember that they've not missed a week of a podcast episode. Also, podcasts suffer from going on long breaks every now and then, but that hasn't really happened. So you can definitely enjoy 2 hours of their conversations weekly. Now for the last category. This is the miscellaneous category. They're all comedy, but they don't do the usual skits or commentary videos. Just look at this. LazyPurple has a video series on what it feels like to play the characters in Team Fortress 2. As someone who played TF2 a lot 10 years ago, I really enjoyed it. Even if you don't enjoy TF2, you have to admit that he is great in editing and comedy. It's hard to click away when it's joke after an epic montage. Oh yeah, he's really great in TF2. So, he really is an amazing YouTuber. If you played TF2, go watch the series on what it feels like to play TF2. Next up, we have Michael Reeves. I believe everyone knows this guy. He uses his knowledge of coding to create really stupid robot ideas. Even if you don't like robots or coding, you have to admit that he's excellent in editing and comedy too. I'm inspired by his great comedic timing. I hope to one day have my videos as entertaining as his. This dude uploads whenever he wants to, but each new video is guaranteed to be a banger. He takes his time to perfect each second of a video, and it pays off. If you watch him, you'll probably watch offline TV. I honestly watch their videos to see more of Michael, but some videos by them are decent. The chemistry among the other content creators is nice. They also have a podcast if you wish to see more of them. Another YouTuber to watch is Slap. His slapstick and edgy comedy is something to see more of outside of the Chuckle Sandwich podcast. Some of his videos are really well thought out, such as dodgeball with extra challenges or creating original music with LAHWF. He's a pretty big streamer, though he rarely streams nowadays. He also has many channels of different types of content. For example, The Weekly Slap, where he gives genuine advice to his fans who email him about their problems. Seeing this side of Schlatt shows how nice and wholesome he can be when he's not trying to be funny. Another fellow Chuckle Sandwich member is Nivison. He has some interesting comedy videos, from going around public to give milk while asking interesting questions, to creating a short action video, to directing a music video. He is quite the great creator. This next channel is incredibly underrated. Value Select makes skits to relatable situations, but he would usually include an original song. It's really creative. He really needs to have more subscribers. His videos are really short, so you can binge them easily. Last but not least, anthpo. This guy is potentially my biggest inspiration for content I want to do in college. It's cool to see him through his college years, and now that I'm about to begin my university life, I would like to do videos like him. So, I'm looking forward to experiencing the shenanigans that he's done. anthpo puts so much effort into his videos, from the ideating to the filming to the editing. Amazing stuff, anthpo. I'ma continue your legacy. I might make this into a series that I do yearly since I want to share new content creators that I enjoy. I hope you found a new channel to watch. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon after you binge every YouTuber I've mentioned. Okay, bye.